McCarthy Auto Group is one of the largest auto groups in Kansas City, let alone the Midwest. It operates a total of 10 dealerships throughout the region. Whether you're looking for a quality used car in Blue Springs, Missouri, or a new car dealer in Overland Park, Kansas, McCarthy helps you cross each T and dot each I. And our commitment goes beyond the dealership. We continue to impact the lives of young student athletes in our area to propel them into their futures. And we are proud to partner with Preps KC and present the McCarthy Elite Team.
Are you elite? When the game is on the line, you make that big tackle, break the long run, throw that block, make that kick. Are you the best of the best in KC? Well, starting this season, a new standard will be set. The most exclusive postseason honor in Kansas City high school football. The Preps KC McCarthy Elite Team. Only 28 players will earn this distinction, from quarterback to kicker, defensive lineman to returner. It's not about the stars next to your name. It's about what you do on the field. Will you become part of the elite? The Preps KC McCarthy Elite Team.
And this year, they are the sponsor of the Preps KC McCarthy Elite Team. And it's that time again, and we talk about different position groups. And now we've gotten to the one that's probably the hardest to quantify and pick out, defensive backs. And we bring in GoPowerCat.com's Ryan Wallace, which is why Ryan is here for this group. Because as you talk to coaches, you could have somebody who's really, really good who never gets a ball thrown their way.
Right.
And that's the problem with defensive backs, be it safeties or you have guys who are safeties who will come up and play a little linebacker because they're so good in helping the run. This is probably one of the most athletic spots on the field if you're not catching the ball. And also one of the hardest things to play in high school, and the hardest to kind of decide who's good and who's great as opposed to just good.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of those positions too that, I mean, you almost need to go see games, multitude of kids to be able to, again, kind of decipher who's worthy of an elite team like this. Because as you mentioned, all the things you just said, sometimes don't really, you can't just throw on a huddle highlight because there might not be any highlights. But that's also a testament to that cornerback or that safety. So yeah, this is one of those that, we'll kick off here during the season as we are, but probably won't be able to really finalize until at the very end, towards the finish line.
I'm just going to let you know that there are 26 names on the list, and this is the biggest list that we have for any position for 4 spots. And so we're going to talk about a few of them here in the video. We'll talk about a few, and we'll list some more in the article. So if your name is not listed, don't worry. We're going to circle back around at when the season gets done, because we're about out of position groups, and we're going to circle back around. That there's just a lot of great guys. I want to start with a guy who's a junior at Washington High School, who's led the state of Kansas in interceptions last year and is leading right now, Jalen Washington. And he's a ball hawk. He makes plays. Now, do they play some of the competition that other teams that are on this list, some guys play? No, but that's a guy right there that has the counting numbers and is a really good athlete. So then you go to guys that you like an RJ Collins at Staley. What's a player like him? What stands out about him?
Well, what stands out to me is that he doesn't get thrown at ever, ever. I mean, I don't have him in front of me. RJ sent me some of his stats here recently for kind of an update with K-State's current recruiting commitments. And I know he hasn't allowed a touchdown. And, the game that I saw, he only allowed 1 catch to Drew Clemens from Oak Park. And RJ had great coverage. Drew Clemens is just 6'3", and it was a go up and get it, and he ended up bringing it down. But RJ's outstanding. Recruiting stuff aside, he's just very, very natural, very fluid, and very fast, which all the things that you need at the cornerback spot.
The guy from Blue Valley, Patrick Dennis, that's another guy who talked to his coach. He's tough too, because he got thrown at like 6 times last year and got an interception. He gave up 1 long pass on a double move, and then threw out 5 other times and got an interception one of those times. So he's one of those guys, another example of that.
Speaking of Blue Valleys, you go over to Blue Valley Northwest, and I think they've got 2. Trevor Garlington is a guy that, Clint Ryder hasn't had to use that much on defense, but in tight situations when they need a guy to come in and be locked down, Trevor Garlington has kind of been a guy that they've transitioned from offense to defense. And I think that might be where he might be able to play longest as a college player.
Yeah.
But when Garlington isn't in, I had a chance to watch Joseph Arnold, the other senior corner that's a true corner. I mean, that's what he plays 99% of the time for Northwest against St. James. And St. James is loaded at receiver.
Yeah.
And Joseph Arnold was the guy that when he was in the game and when he was not in the game was very apparent. And again, things that don't always show up on stat lines, but Joseph Arnold is absolutely one of the better lockdown guys you're going to find in the EKL.
Well, and then you talk about a guy like Blake Jay at Mill Valley. He's a guy that's definitely made some waves, and he's only a junior.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, not far from Blake Jay, kind of in that geographic location. I was out at DeSoto the other night. And obviously their defense got ran up on by Shawnee Heights, but Shawnee Heights has kind of done that to everybody when you're averaging almost 40 points a game as an offense. Leighton Lawson is a guy, at corner, really long, 6'3". I mean, looks like a safety playing corner, but he's a guy that, he's going to make it tough for you to go over the top of him. And DeSoto's, other than that night, against Shawnee Heights, which again, everybody kind of has, I think he's proven to be a strong suit in terms of coverage for DeSoto and the Wildcat team.
Here's a name that might sound familiar to people if they've been paying attention to high school football for the last 30 years, Isaiah McIntosh. His dad, Kevin McIntosh, won the Simone Award from Hickman Mills. He's a pretty good guy too, and you don't hear his name as much because he doesn't get thrown at either. And that's a guy that's done well for them defensively. One guy too that I've seen talk about a defense that's really good in the Metro, Grant Nolan at Kearney. And there's a reason why that team's win a lot of games because of Theo Grace, the linebacker, and Grant Nolan. So there's a lot of guys out there. Like I said, that's 26. We've mentioned what, 10 maybe?
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, we didn't even get to two others on the Missouri side that I just absolutely love. And I wanted to shout out. First is Divine Jones. I preached it, praised him really since I saw him as a sophomore at Lincoln College Prep. I thought he was terrific there, and he's transitioned to Liberty North against, better competition and held his own. And Dante Dixon is kind of the Kansas City version of Travis Hunter, Dion. I mean, he goes both ways, but plays a ton of snaps, rarely leaves the field. Was, I think, an all-league guy last year as a sophomore. And so, yeah, you think about Park Hill and you think about their offense, but Dante Dixon, man, is really, really crafty as a cornerback. The timing on balls, I mean, he's just got a knack to know when to jump and be disruptive on a passing route. Really, really fun player to watch.
Yeah, like I said, this is, and I'm trying not to die and coughing here as we do this, but no, this is going to be a group that's going to be tough to do. And like I said, whoever makes this will be the most discussed group, I would think, when it comes down to it, because it's the hardest. It is literally the hardest position to play in high school. It's the hardest position to find people to play in high school. But no, it's we've got a lot of depth at that position, and it should be fun. Well, appreciate you, Ryan. We will we'll bump you out next week. We do an offensive lineman. Maybe get Andy in there and talk about that. But we always appreciate you taking time and doing this elite stuff with us. It's been a lot of fun.
Thanks so much.